Review of the Outsider Tour concert by Roger Taylor, Shepherd's Bush, 22nd of October 2021. Excerpt from Bohemia Place, My Life, Our Times and Queen by Alison Sezzi. A thought occurred to me shortly beforehand. If someone had told me when I was a teen back in the mid-70s that in 2021 I'd be going to see him in a solo concert, would I have believed them? Probably not. I'd have worked out his age in that year, which would have sounded terribly old, and most likely dismissed the idea out of hand. By extension, I may have worked out what my own age would be too, and would have decided that I'd be way too past it to be hanging out at gigs. Nevertheless, here I was. And tonight, I thought, we're painting this town red, to quote his song Tonight from his solo Electric Fire album, or maybe pink. While waiting outside for the doors to open, I noticed that Brian had posted on Instagram indicating he was at the venue, making me wonder what was in store. Once inside and having chosen my seat, I finished up quite close to an area of reserved seating, which just before Roger came on stage after the support act was populated by his special guests, such as family members, the only one I was pretty sure I recognised being Rufus. My judgment was confirmed by a few people chanting his name from the stalls when they caught sight of him. Roger started off strongly with Strange Frontier and then took us on an epic voyage through his solo material, old and new, as well as a couple of his early Queen songs for which he'd also provided vocals. Second up, for example, was Tenement Funster. Later on, his singing on I'm in Love with My Car sounded to me so much like the original, I thought I'd returned to that living room of my teens and was listening to it there again. As for the band, there was the hardy perennial Mr. Edney, spiking yet another gig on the keyboards, and the QAL bassist Neil Fairclough and lead guitarist Christian Mendoza, who were both chef d'oeuvre in the guitar department. A contribution here was also made by musical Jill of all trades Tina Keys on the violin for Foreign Sand and Heroes, for example, and at one point she took off, dancing around in true gypsy fashion while playing. She provided memorable vocals on We're All Just Trying to Get By, Surrender and Man on Fire, on the latter contributing an impassioned edge. What's more, she was on percussion and keyboards at various points during the show. Although Roger was centre stage with mostly his solo songs, sometimes satirical like Nation of Haircuts and Gangsters Are Running This World, the latter being on the latest album, along with Absolutely Anything and More Kicks, for example, interspersed with some Queen numbers like These Are the Days of Our Lives, Under Pressure and Say It's Not True. An unforgettable highlight was provided by another band member, the American percussionist with QAL Tyler Warren, who brilliantly sang and drummed his way through Rock It Prime Jive. I couldn't help but recall his Instagram post from early September when he displayed a dilemma of the times, having to stay away from performing in the US in order to ensure that he was COVID negative for this tour. What a relief that the isolation paid off. Roger involuntarily giggled on the echoes of Hello from the audience during Foreign Sand, commenting that it was a serious song. He sported a pair of track-style trousers as if he were ready to take on a benign jog. In all truth, I'd never seen him put in such a confident performance as a frontman. Wait, did he just bash a cymbal with his tambourine? Just to confirm that my eyes hadn't deceived me, he did it again. Declaring that Little Richard will never die for me, Roger launched into Tutti Frutti, with Brian appearing for the instrumental, which detonated an explosion at the Empire, igniting various electric fires across the stage and throughout the audience. In the general uproar, everyone in front of me had stood up, so I did too. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to see. In a shiny shirt, dressed for jukebox jiving, Brian was back, thrown in, or rather flinging himself in, at no extra charge. It was an opportune time to bop to this couple of rocking rock veterans' rendition of Little Richard's song, which, along with A Kind of Magic after it, was totally energised. Roger was beaming and clearly enjoying himself no end. He even appeared to be drawing some kind of elixir from Brian's playing. With the encore presenting the triumphs of rock and roll, Heroes, and surely his best-known contribution to the Queen repertoire, Radio Gaga, the show and the tour was over. After everything that had happened over the past few months, the way the pandemic had affected all our lives, and in particular Brian's serious health issues, I can't even begin to describe the joy of this reunion.